Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review, and today we're going to be reviewing not only a beer but also a classic rock album from the 1980s. This is the beer that we're going to be reviewing. Now look at that. You may remember this one from the unboxing video that I did a little while ago for the July. You got huge pictures of passion fruit on there, giving you an indication what the sort of flavours and aromas are going to be. And this is actually a Northern Monk Patron. So like the Sandy Kerr one, this is another Patron special edition. It's called Rapscallion Soda, and it is a passion fruit and vanilla soda IPA coming in at 7% in a 440ml can. Now, cans like this before, you may remember that you can actually open them up a little bit to get a little bit more information. So we can open this up here like that. So you can see the whole passion fruit there. But you can also see some pictures here, some information, some notes about the brewery, some notes about how it came together. Rapscallion are actually a Scottish soft drink manufacturer based in Glasgow. So obviously they've tied up with them to create this. Something quite a little bit special. Now, obviously, sometimes these can come off and be really great, and other times they may not be so great. But anyway, let's get this beer out of the can and into a glass, shall we? So I'm not even sure what it's going to look like, but let's find out, shall we? Well, pouring it out, it looks like an IPA, lovely and yellow and hazy. Look at that. Really, really thick though. You can see the way it pours. You've got a one finger head there. Bright orange, like an orange juice that. The head looks pretty tightly compact. I see a few bubbles there rising up. You may be able to see, yeah, you might just be able to see those bubbles there. So there's a fair bit of carbonation. Obviously if it's it's got a combination of soda in it, it's going to have that. So let's get some of the aroma, shall we? Yeah, I'm getting, pretty obviously, I'm getting a lot of passion fruit there. A lot of other tropical sort of flavours. So there's mango in there, orange, bits of pineapple as well. Not huge amounts of citrus. The passion fruit is quite overpowering, but there's a slight tinge of citrus, and I can just about sort of make out a little bit of grapefruit sharpness there. I'm really looking forward to this though. So cheers everyone. Wow. Whew. Well, it's really, really creamy, but it's almost, like a lemon sherbet. It's got that real zing about it. It's almost like if you've ever had a sour, it's got like that. So the lemon, there's a real strong lemon, like it almost like like a cloudy lemonade, homemade lemonade, that sort of flavour. You've got the passion fruit in there and the tropical flavours as well, but it's like drinking, it's even more like drinking a sort of orange juice, and then it sort of flits into drinking a lemonade. And then yeah, let's get another taste. It's beautiful. It really is. So you've got the IPA taste. You've got, it's beer, but then after that taste, you get such a rush of sort of sweet lemon sherbet sort of flavours, and they're really sort of quite overpowering, but in a really nice way. It doesn't sort of really it doesn't cut. It just makes it taste really, really refreshing. Yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel and everything else, it's very soft, like drinking, a tropical smoothie. Fairly low levels of carbonation. You've also got that sort of slight orangeness in there, the sort of like a sort of orange peel, and that sweet and sharp sort of, basically hitting against each other. It's really, really refreshing. There's a level of dryness there, but very, very little bitterness, which you know, 7%, you know, with all these sort of fruit flavors, you certainly would expect that. I'm going to have a quick check to see whether it tells me what sort of hops we were looking at in here. I mean, obviously the vanilla, I think it said it's obviously got vanilla in it. That gives it that softness, but also gives it that sort of sweet sherbety flavor, I think. So yeah, I mean, let's have a quick scan on this. Sabro, Montuca, Citra, passion fruit, vanilla. They're the hops, and obviously the adjuncts in there as well. Quarantine in IPA is what it's called, but it's really, really good. I mean, sometimes when you're mixing all these sort of funny things with a sort of beer and you think, yeah, it sounds really interesting and could be really nice on paper, but the reality of it, like we found out with the ice cream pale ale that we tried, it doesn't always work out. But this is superb. This is really, really good. Okay, so I'm going to drink this and enjoy this while I'm doing the review, and then we'll do the scores afterwards, and that will give me a better idea in terms of, you know, what exactly what I'm getting from it, because hopefully by the time I've done this review, we probably should be in a position where that beer will be gone, and I can give you a really good indication of it. So, reviews. Well, like many of you, I'm sure that, you know, we're in lockdown, and anyone that's into rock and metal would probably have missed out on a lot of their sort of summer festivals. There's no Glastonbury, there's no Download. Pearl Jam were playing in Hyde Park. That would have been another highlight of the summer. And so a lot of people out there are really missing their live bands and their live music experiences. I mean, even now the pubs are open, there's not really much live music there. And there's nothing like seeing a rock band live. But what about live albums? I mean, there are a few real classics out there, but can a band really capture what it's like to experience them live when you're actually there on a record? I mean, usually I'm not a big fan of live albums, mainly because of this very reason. You know, they can be a great showcase in terms of their sort of best of songs, but also many can't really capture that energy of the concert. And even if they can, you know, then do they actually capture is the quality of sound as good as it is on their studio albums? But I want to talk about one of my favourites that certainly showcases their best songs. I'm going to have a drink while I think about it. This album actually sounds better, is the band sounding better than they've ever done on any of their studio albums. And this band is Dokken. Now, the album's called Beast from the East. It was recorded live in Japan in 1988. And it pretty much was their sort of swan song, their last sort of album that they did before they sort of broke up quite in a quite sort of violent and tempestuous way. Now, many people have not even heard of Dokken. Even in hard rock and metal sort of circles, enthusiasts, they wouldn't necessarily think of Dokken as when they're considering real top bands of the 1980s. But they were introduced to me by one of my best and probably one of my oldest friends, Adam. So shout out to Adam out there. Back when I first got into metal. And he said he'd just seen this band live. I think they supported AC/DC. And he said, this is a really great band, you should check them out. So the band consists of 4 members. They're a 4-piece. Don Dokken is the vocalist. George Lynch is the guitarist. Then you've got Jeff Pilson on bass and Mick Brown on drums. But the real star is really George Lynch. I mean, in terms of being a guitar hero, he really does showcase well on this album. He's a real guitar god with a combination of his like really fast speed picking and he's sort of like Eddie Van Halen, you know, 2-finger fretboard tapping. You know, he's a real genius on the instrument. And if you're a guitarist out there and you haven't heard any of his stuff, then you should definitely give this a listen. Don Dokken himself, back in the day, shows that he's a really great singer. I mean, subsequent albums with him on, you can see that his voice is definitely struggling, but it's a real highlight in terms of his voice. But But what makes the album is just the fact that it's got great songs on it. I mean, the songs are taken from the 4 albums that preceded it, and whether it's the sort of real speed, heavy metal sort of songs like Tooth and Now or Kiss of Death, so the sort of real big sort of sing-along anthems like Unchain the Night and Breaking the Chains. There's even a couple of great ballads on there. You know, Alone Again is a really good ballad. And then as a sort of bonus, there's a studio track at the end called Walk Away, another great ballad from Dokken. But one of the showcase songs on here is Mr. Scary, because it's basically George Lynch's version of Eruption to some extent. It's a real highlight for any guitar players who loves a great extended guitar solo. I mean, obviously you see bands live, you usually do get a guitar solo within there, but it really, I think, in my opinion, probably outclasses Eruption. It's a real shred-tastic showcase, and it really shows what an underrated guitar player George Lynch is, and more people should be listening to him, especially if you like rock and heavy metal. So there's nothing really bad about this album at all. It's a double. There's lots of tracks on there. All the tracks are great because it's sort of like the best of. It's a real sort of good starting point if you're trying to get into Dokken. Okay, yes, it almost sounds too good. There's a few studio overdubs, I think, in there because the sound is just so rich. But you get the crowd and everything, and you get that energy that you want from a live album. So if you like hard rock, you like Van Halen or Motley Crue or Kiss, then you should definitely give this album a try. I'll put the Spotify link in the description. And as I said, this is probably my #1 live album. It's my favourite live album, in fact, and I can't give it more recommendation than that. So if you've not heard of it and you want to give Dokken a try, then start with Beast for the East and then just work back through their back catalogue. It's a great album, a great showcase of what a live album should be. So let's get back to the beer, shall we? After talking my way through that, I need to now calculate the scores. It's a good beer, this, and I'm looking forward to telling you what I think of it and how it scores in all the categories. So, give me 8 seconds. Let's come back for the scores. Welcome back. So, the reviews are in for the Northern Monk Patrons Project, the Rapscallion Soda, the Quarantini IPA. I mean, there's got lots of titles on this. It's a passion fruit vanilla soda coming in at 7% in a 440ml can. Really, really enjoyed this. I mean, I've pretty much drank the whole can as I've done this and the review. But let's get some scores in, shall we? So, aroma. Really lovely tropical notes. Real sort of passion fruit. Obviously, you can see the other can. Big passion fruit, but really, really lovely on the aroma. So I'm giving it 14 out of 20 for aroma. Appearance, well, from what we've got left of it, you can see beautiful, bright orange, lovely appearance, really nice sort of mouthfeel and stuff like that, which I'm putting in that appearance. 9 out of 10 for appearance. Flavour. I mean, sometimes when you drink a beer, you know, you want something a little bit extra. You want that refreshment, but you don't want it to sort of distract from the fact you're drinking beer, you know. And this one, as I said, it's got a really nice mouthfeel. It's got a real sort of zinginess, a sort of almost like a sour sort of, that sort of sweet and sour, really fruity, but with that sort of lemon sherbety sort of sprinkling over the top that really gives it a, you know, really finishes off to be a really great beer. And I'm giving this pretty high score because I think, even though it's doing 2 different things here, it really, you know, it pulls it off really well. So I'm giving it 36 out of 40 for flavour. Value for money. Well, this can cost me just a bit over £6. That's quite expensive for a can. So it's going to get marked down for value a little bit. It is 7%. It's obviously a special. It's a patrons project. So, you know, you would expect to pay a little bit more. But I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 for value. So that's probably the only category that knocks back a bit. And in terms of overall experience, I loved it. I think it's great. I think it really sort of does something different. I love that lemony, sherbety taste to it. Really nice. Would I drink another one? Yes, I would actually, because I'm sitting here now thinking, this is finished. and it's really given me a taste for drinking more of this. I love that fruity flavour, and I love that sort of sweet and sour and, you know, sherbety sort of taste. So I'm giving it a 16 out of 20 for overall experience. So we're tossing those scores up, and we get an 81 out of 100. So this is an Iron Maiden beer. This is the original and best heavy metal band in a beer. So if you see this, and I'm going to give you another showcase of it, if you see this Rapscallion Soda Quarantini IPA from Northern Monk, give it a try. Something a little bit different, but it is something a little bit special. So until the next review, keep on rocking.